Welcome to our third episode of the Real Estate Podcast, where we talk everything about real estate, investments, and sales. I'm your host, Ngosan Kandu, the CEO and founder of Kingdom Real Estate Agency. Today, I'm joined by one of my friends and colleagues, Gladys Daka. She is a banker by profession and a real estate investor. Welcome, Madam Daka.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and good evening.
Just to go into the meat of the matter, we wanted just to have an understanding of who you are. What's your brief description of Gladys Daka?
Wow. Wow. So Gladys Daka is a banker by profession, as you have rightly highlighted.
Sure.
I'm also a real estate investor, as you have also indicated, but much more. I'm a Christian lady and a believer. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, though I'm not practicing at the moment.
Sure.
So I started my education journey at ZICAS, where I studied Chartered Institute of Management Accounting, and I also did ACCA later on.
Sure.
Then post that, I did my postgraduate program, which is a Master's in Strategy at the University of Zambia. So basically, that's the background in terms of my academic qualifications. Thank you.
It seems so much.
Only.
Awesome. Since today we'll be talking about you being an investor, a real estate investor. I think one of the questions that I get from a number of my clients that are looking to go into investment, real estate investment, is how do I get started? So briefly, how can you advise somebody who is actually looking at becoming a real estate investor? This is coming from the premise of maybe they're professionals or they're doing business, but they want to diversify into becoming a real estate investor.
Thank you. So in terms of investment, I must make mention to say investment is in various stages.
Sure.
And one of the things that people make mistakes is they would want to start big.
Sure.
And for them to, for one to be considered as an investor, they look at it to have multiple portfolios or diverse portfolios of probably investments that you're actually managing. But investments is starting at where you are at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so one can start at any stage and they actually build their portfolio based on what they can start on. So I'll give an example in terms of how I started.
Okay.
I started my investment with my salary.
Awesome.
I was working for Konkola Copper Mines then as an accountant, and I started saving a bit of my money, and one of the first things that I did was to buy a plot.
Awesome.
So in terms of purchasing a plot, I think then my thinking was I wanted to settle, or I wanted to ensure that at the time that I actually probably reached a certain age, and that was probably I reached 25, I would have been in my own house. I would have stopped renting. For me, my major aim was to stop renting.
Awesome.
So that's how I started building my portfolio. So I bought that plot with the aim of building a house and start renting. But the plot, I was lucky because then it was some time back, I think 14 years ago or so then. And the plots were quite cheap. I found quite a big piece of land, which I was sold to at a very good price, and I took advantage of that. And that's one of the key things that I think most of us Zambians don't take advantage. I think we have vast land around, which is going at a cheaper price and can easily be accessed and be procured at any price. I think you'll find that sometimes you can find land as low as maybe 5,000 in 15 miles, as low as maybe even 7,500, 15,000. It could be a 20 by 20, it could be a 20 by 30, a 20 by 15. I think what's key is grabbing that piece of land and starting somewhere. I think most of the times what we want to do is probably start from Roma Park, for instance. Yeah, I think I want to live in Roma Park, and probably I'll be saving for Roma Park. But sometimes when you're investing, you look at also things like the location. You look at the people there in terms of the population there. You look at the demand that is actually out there. So I think those are some of the key things that people need to look out for and be able to make that decision to say, can I purchase? Will it be a good buy?
Awesome.
Or will it not be a buy? So I think for me, that's how I started my investment journey. So I identified a place, and in identifying that place, I realized it's a place that I could actually invest. And in identifying that place, and I realized that the land was quite vast and it was big and going at a good price. I made that investment and started building from there. So that's how I started building my portfolio. And once you start building, I think there's just that excitement. And any person who's built will tell you to say, once you're done with one project, you want to do the next. And that's how my journey has been.
Awesome. you wanted to actually build your own at a very good price. But the issue is that right now, when somebody wants to either build or buy a property, they're looking at the high residential areas, like you rightly put it, Roma Park, Minura Ibex. Let's talk of Avondale, definitely, and all. But the question is, I know we have a lot of motivational speakers that are indicating that, no, get whatever you can. But the question is that you're looking at this person who is maybe getting as low as 5,000 kwacha. Yes. How do they, do a calculation out of their 5,000 kwacha? They actually buy a plot, possibly, then start buying the materials, like the blocks and everything and all, but at the same time, they need to service their rent, they need to buy food home, and maybe support their family. So how do you possibly advise somebody who is in that situation? We're using 5,000 as just an example. Yeah. And
I'll tell you to say, it's a tricky situation, especially in the times that we're living in. I think things are quite expensive. Sure. You would probably attest to that. Yes. And you having been in this business, you know how much it costs probably to just buy materials, to actually bring somebody to actually put up a structure just to ensure that you end up somewhere. I think it is actually difficult, and I would not probably downplay it to say that it's something easy that somebody can easily quickly go into. Sure. But one of the things that I would advise somebody is try saving, and in saving you can also try diversifying in terms of investments that can actually help you build a bit of income, so that you have some reserve for you to be able to service your rentals but also investing. So there are certain things that we can do, and probably if you've seen most of the motivational speakers advocating on entrepreneurship or just selling something that can actually add value. If you can invest in things like probably government securities, though, again, if the amount is small, you might think the returns might not really be as much, but you can probably go into a cooperative or join a cooperative that is actually doing that, and it will help you. Or go into these things like unit trust to see how you can save, but in saving, you're investing, it's gaining something. Yes, it's not just lying down to say that you're saving maybe a 5,000 or a 5,000 after a 5,000, but there's no interest coming through. But if you invest in something like a unit trust, I think a unit trust, most unit trusts, the minimum is 500 kwacha. And if you are able to invest consistently, after some time, I think that 500 kwacha can actually build into something maybe in 5 years later. Then you buy maybe a plot and you start your building project. And I believe that 5,000 kwacha you're earning will not be 5,000 kwacha forever. No, I think your income will actually increase, and see how you can actually probably.
So if we have to break it down, somebody needs first to understand how long that project will take.
Sure.
Because the challenge that we have is that people are seeing a number of people building maybe in 6 months, 1 month, 1 year, and all those issues. So you think as if it is that quick. But now you bring in an aspect to say, listen, you've understood that your amount is not enough to deal with everything. So start with one stage or one option, which is buy land, keep. Then maybe in a year's time, start buying blocks, or start buying cement and all, then later on you do slab until you get to your desired stage.
Sure.
Is that okay? Next time on the Real Estate Podcast.
How can you passively invest? And passive investment looks at you putting your money somewhere where it can give you a good return. And good return, it will not be as high as what you get from a business that you'll be running around